Well, one thing that I think is starting to emerge, I have to be honest when I say I'm a bit reluctant or maybe a bit hesitant about the focus on radicalization, the focus on counterterrorism. I think that we might be tricking ourselves into a new securitization of humanitarian crises, things like the migration crisis. I think that those topics are increasingly being put under the umbrella of understanding counterterrorism or radicalization, and I think that that really puts a negative pallor over what needs to be essentially humanitarian and development issues.
It's a very different era we're starting to enter now, and I think research should also tackle that and make the shift with the same dynamics, which is maybe the end of the state building era. You know, after the end of the Cold War, the trend was state building, but this idea that with state building will come nation building, so strengthen identities, strengthen nations, open up to globalization, and at the same time, through this magic key of institution building, you will develop institution building and you will get rule of law, stability, peace, conflict resolution through institutions. So strengthen institutions, you will get peace and stability. And this obviously did not work. With, of course, the enter of the anti-terror paradigm, that institutions have been, sidelined, and everybody running towards very fast-track solutions. And this is where informal justice, informal provision of rights or conflict resolution, peace building, something very results oriented.
Within the policy making, academic and practitioner space, there are still silos. So there can be rule of law specialists working in at each of those levels, that not talking to the peace builders, right? So there needs to be much more cross-silo work, because we do agree that we're working towards the same things. And at the same time, there also needs to be, there is already considerable collaboration, at least amongst policy experts, civil society and practitioners. What we need to do is broaden that circle so that it's not just about policy experts engaged within a kind of donor-recipient space, but it's also other actors who fall outside of that. The private sector is classic. In order to reach the Sustainable Development Goals of Agenda 2030, we cannot do it alone. The kind of financing and innovative investments that it requires mean that the private sector has to be involved. And the private sector, in many ways, in a number of fragile or conflict-affected contexts, is taking much bigger risks than the traditional development practitioners. So we've got actually a lot to learn and engage on with the private sector. It's not all good, obviously, but I think they're an important stakeholder that often gets overlooked. And not just the private sector. I mean, there are other actors, regional actors, emerging powers that are having very, very important roles in the kinds of conflicts we're seeing. In order to be able to really make change, we have to take seriously the importance of engaging systematically, not just one-off, with them.